Well, more details are emerging from the latest incident of truck attacks. One expert says there might be a link between the truck attacks and the 2021 July unrest. Now, to discuss this further, we're joined by Jackie Walters from the University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. The timing of these attacks, Jackie, could this be designed to correlate with the July 2021 unrest and maybe to send a message?
Well, I don't think we know that at this point in time. It may be coincidental, it may be on purpose. Hopefully it's not linked to those incidents, but something else that one can deal with. I mean, we have not yet caught the perpetrators, the people behind it, the July 21 unrest. So hopefully this is not linked to that at this point in time, but maybe linked to other issues that has been heard in the media by drivers, being employed, illegally by operators and so on. And then there are structures that can deal with that specific issue.
And let's talk about, the intelligence when it comes to this issue. Do you think it's up to scratch with dealing with this, or do you think more needs to be done regarding our intelligence on these attacks?
No, I think it's very clear that our intelligence services are not up to scratch. The fact that these things are happening, these three incidents, especially the first two, appear to be linked. The modus operandi was the same, and the Commissioner has just mentioned that it appears as if the eNCA burnings are also linked. It could be people traveling around burning these trucks, so it could be organized. But as far as I know, there's been no claims from any group at this point in time taking responsibility for this. It's really deplorable action, and it's really economic sabotage, and we should not allow this as a country to happen or even escalate beyond this. And I think surveillance is really very important, undercover surveillance, but also surveillance of the routes by cameras, visible policing, very important in areas that we know that are vulnerable, like Moira Vier, Moira River, and so on. So it's very important that we have visible policing at this point in time to stop this thing from escalating.
Exactly, and if that doesn't happen, it could have adverse impact on the economic sector. Of course, let's talk about that. What could the possible long-term effects be on the economy, especially looking at foreign investment, local investment as well, because this could be very concerning, as an investor looking at this and seeing a pattern develop.
Yes, I think the 21 unrest really sent the wrong message to the world, that this country is instable, that we cannot control our people, can't quell these types of things from happening. We are, in this country, dependent on the road freight industry because of the poor rail service, and the rail is continuously losing market share, so we're becoming more and more dependent on road freight. And the estimates are that between 85 and 88% of all tonnages moved in this country is moved by road. So, and rail is around 10-12% at most. And apart from all of that, we're also becoming more and more dependent on the road freight industry for bulk commodity transport. We mentioned in Pangani, Richards Bay area, a lot of bulk cargo is being moved, like coal, by road to the port of Richards Bay, which we should not allow. It should be on rail. All these bulk commodities should be on rail. So yes, these types of incidences impact on supply chains, manufacturing processes, wholesalers, retailers, and then us as users of those products. We pay for those things through high insurance premiums, damage to vehicles, time delays, and so on the routes. So it should really be stopped before it really escalates any further.
And let's just talk about short term now. What would you like to see happen to make sure that, at least truck drivers feel safe on the roads, and so that these attacks don't happen? We don't hear, tomorrow about another attack like this happening.
Well, I think there are what we call choke points on many of these main routes, like Moira River, top of Forensic Pass, like we saw just before the tunnel on the way to the Lowveld and so on. And that's where I think we should have really much more visible policing to stop these things from happening. And obviously, the cameras, security cameras all over the route and these areas are really very important. 24 hours a day monitoring will be important. And then once you see something happening, to have a quick reaction and close the road down, try and catch these people when they're driving away from these incidents. So I think the short term is really more visible to these things like it's been mentioned now. And KwaZulu-Natal on those routes that have identified. We know where the problems are. The country and the police services probably know where these problems are. But then to really be visible and stop these things from happening.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for your insights on these attacks. Of course, it is quite, worrisome that we have these attacks taking place, and it's now been 16 trucks that's been torched, and truck drivers are, of course, now living in fear, and they don't know when the next attack could possibly happen. Security experts do say that we shouldn't rule out the fact that this could be linked with the 2021 July unrests.